What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the show. I'm D Nasty.
Brandon Christie.
Santana.
This is the order of things. This episode, we're going to be talking about a pretty forgotten event, but it is fun in its own right, and that's Monsters Unleashed. And you know, it's a big part of all in all different Marvel in the sense like it pushes the initiative, but like I said, it is self-contained. It's easy to follow. It doesn't have a lot of continuity impact. You know what I mean? So it's just kind of a nice stop before we get on to the more hardcore stuff that is going to come down the line. That being said, it does kind of pick up with some of the things that have happened new since Secret Wars ended. Like you guys remember, the Avengers were kind of reformed as the all-new Avengers, and they had a lot of young characters. Miss Marvel, Miles Morales, Spider-Man, the new Vision, you know, a few characters like that. Among other few characters like Thor is now female. But at the same time, remember that the Fantastic Four have been gone this whole time. They're like remaking universes and all that. So we haven't seen them. But Johnny Storm has returned. He's back now.
He returned?
He just popped up all of a sudden, and now he's kind of getting down with Medusa, the queen of the Inhumans. Because Black Bolt, you know what I mean, we'll pick up with him later on down the line, but he's been missing ever since Secret Wars kind of came to an end and the universe was remade. He's been gone from the scene. But going right into this is just, you know, run-of-the-mill fun kind of event where we pick up fighting and it's like there's monsters falling down from the sky. You know what I mean? Literally, that's exactly how it opens. Like you see little flashes of a pencil, you know what I mean, on each frame, but then it switches to like these comets. It looks like shooting stars or like meteors, and when they hit the earth, like monsters just crawl out of them. Giant shit just start breaking and smashing
Different
shit
types of monsters.
right off rip. Yeah, they look different. Some of them got 4 eyes, some of them got 4 arms, some got big mouths. Like it's
a bunch of motherfuckers.
Whole bunch of them. The first place that they actually hit is Boston. Yeah, that's where it starts. It's like nothing really happens in Boston.
To the bean, huh?
So we pick up there, and the Avengers are called to the scene trying to deal with it. So you got Sam Wilson, he's still Captain America at the time. Steve Rogers doesn't appear in this, and neither does Iron Man, you know, mind you. He just kind of passed away at the end of Civil War II.
Yeah.
But as the Avengers are kind of dealing with it, it's like they're severely outmatched, as you would think. You know, it's giant monsters. Like, if you look at the scale, once you guys do start to look through it, they're really outsized and outmatched, like, just off rip. You know what I mean? And this is happening all across the globe. So you got the Avengers dealing with it in Boston, but you got the Guardians of the Galaxy. They're dealing with it in New York. You know what I mean? They've kind of been hanging around Earth ever since Civil War II. So they're there dealing with it. You got the Champions. Now the Champions, that was a new team. All those young characters that were on the Avengers before Civil War, like Miles Morales and Miss Marvel, they left. They said, we want to create our own team. Because the OGs just fought each other. You know what I mean? Like, they just had a Civil War. So we're not really feeling that. Exactly. And they just went on to do their own thing. But they're also fighting these monsters that have landed. And it's just getting crazy everywhere. No one really knows what to do. There's this woman named Elsa Bloodstone. And she's an old character from, like, Marvel horror. You'll see, like, those types of characters come back throughout the story. And she's like a monster hunter. Like a monster killer. You know what I mean? She got the trench coat, she got the guns, and she do that old school stuff. But she's like going through the mountains and talking about how like this was prophesized. Like she's referencing to what's happening. Like she's saying it's prophesized. It's always meant to come. It's like a biblical type of thing. And she finds this painting in like a cave. And it shows like, you know, hieroglyphics almost. It's like a guy ruling over like a bunch of monsters. You know what I mean? And the thing you want to make note of is like a little symbol. I guess that's supposed to like, you know, take note of who specifically that is. You know what I mean? It doesn't really come up again, but they hype it up as if it is. But again, you know, you try not to think too hard about this one. But as we progress and like everyone's kind of talking to each other and trying to like send transmissions, we see that Star-Lord is sending it to like headquarters. Cap is like, he's gone like with Maria Hill and he's like telling her a debrief. So he gets a call from Star-Lord saying like, you know, I need help. Like they coming a lot over here. I need some backup. You know what I mean? Where I'm at. And he's like, as soon as I got some people, as soon as I got some reinforcements, I'm gonna send some over there. But we pick up with this kid named P or Kai, maybe, you know, whatever, however you want to pronounce him. But he's this like young Korean boy. He's 11 and he likes to draw. He's an artist. And well, he wants to be, you know, he's still a kid.
Yeah.
And he's sitting there like watching the news like in his room about these events and all the monsters coming trying to destroy shit. And he's just like drawing these pictures. And he draws the symbol that Elsa Bloodstone saw in the cave.
Oh,
You know
shit.
what I mean? And all his pictures that he draws are monsters. Like that's what he draws, monsters. That's all he draws. You know what I mean? He don't draw nothing else but monsters.
Manifesting them shit.
That exactly. That's what we think at first. Like when I'm reading this, I just only read this pretty recently. Like when it came out, this was one I skipped. But yeah, when I was reading it, that's the first thing I thought too. Like he has to be drawing them, and then they're manifesting somehow. But you know, I mean, we pick up now with the next issue, and I don't know. Do you guys remember Sword, the like space division of Shield that they had? So now that Captain Marvel got clout, and you know, Marvel's pushing her at that time. You know, pre her movie coming out, she basically took over Sword. She's running Sword, and she reformed it as Alpha Flight. You know what I mean? Alpha Flight was an old Canadian Avengers type of team back in the day. So she got some of those team members now working for her too, as well as Abigail Brain, you know, the green-haired chick. And so she's seeing all the comets coming toward Earth in space. So she's like, you know, Captain Marvel suits up and goes and flies out to try and fight them. And she goes to try and hit it. When she goes to try and hit it, it like zaps her away. The meteor, like, there's so much like energy, it like just pushes her back. You know what I mean? But we know that she's binary as well. You know what I mean? I don't think we have to explain too much about those powers, but she absorbs all the types of energy, and she just takes that hit, and then she's like, I got this. You know what I mean? And she flies and punches it again, and it sends it hurling back. You know what I mean? That one meteor that was coming. But then when she turns her head, there's literally like 1,000 more coming.
Damn.
You know what I mean? So she can't do that. You know what I mean? Just all by herself. Like, so she's telling niggas like, yo, get ready. Like, some of these shits are gonna get through. You know what I mean?
Right.
Be prepared. We go back to now Star-Lord. He's with the Guardians, you know, Rocket and Groot. They're doing their best to fight this crazy monster, and Groot gets like gutted. You know what I mean? But he's good, you know what I mean?
Okay.
He just gets like sliced in his stomach. You see like these roots coming out of him. But he's good and shit. Rocket's just like shooting and shit. But then just when things look dire and like it's gonna be bad for them, everyone shows up. The X-Men, the Champions, the Inhumans, the Avengers, you know. They get all the backup. It's like the one time in the last few years where everyone's together, you know what I mean? This is like the comic no one read, but it's what everyone wanted if you read it, you know what I mean? It's like everyone not fighting each other, because we're about to do Inhumans versus X-Men after this. This does have a little bit of gears toward that. We'll talk about it at the end. But yeah, it's really everyone coming together to fight this big threat. And they link up. Thor just starts smacking these niggas with the hammer, you know, female Thor. It's just banging. Odin's son, he's off in Asgard, like, doing his own thing, trying to find out why he's not worthy. And we'll talk about that when we do Secret Empire. But yeah, she's banging, and as soon as you know, just you'll see this recurring theme. Soon as they bang on all of them and get rid of them, more just show up. You know what I mean? And it's like, damn, what the fuck we gonna do? They look into Cap, to Sam Wilson, like you know, lead us, boy. Like, you know what I mean? And he's just sitting there froze. Like he can't say anything because he's like, I don't know if he's scared because it's monsters or if he's just like, damn, I don't know what to say. You know what I mean? I don't know what hope I can give my teammates. But you know, you got old man Logan and all these niggas banging and shit. Meanwhile, Elsa Bloodstone is like crossing off on a list of people who she thinks might be that person she saw on the symbols in the cave. And you see her list, like she crosses off Johnny Blaze, Danny Ketch, like those are previous Ghost Riders. You know what I mean? Like, you know, it's like little Easter eggs and shit. But her last name on the list is the kid Kai, or Key, wherever. And she shows up on his doorstep, basically grabs him up and is like, you know, I know what you're doing, like, I gotta take you to fucking the Avengers and shit. And when she brings him there, Medusa recognizes him instantly. And this is when we get the backstory for who Kai is. He's an Inhuman. He was manifested by the Terrigen mists that are going on in the background of all these stories, turning people into Inhumans. And his power is that, not that he can draw and manifest monsters, but he can teleport and like summon monsters that already exist. You know what I mean? So he's not just like drawing and creating monsters. He's drawing what he knows. And it's a little confusing. Like Sam even asks, like, so if he draws me, will I appear? You know what I mean? So everyone's just like trying to gather like how exactly does his power work. You know
That's just some crazy.
But yeah, it sounds
shit.
dope. And it's part of Marvel's big initiative at this time to push the Inhumans. You know what I mean? Make as many Inhumans as we could, and they're the new X-Men. X-Men wasn't a Disney movie at the time; it was still Fox, so they wasn't pushing them that well. They wanted to like replace them with the Inhumans. That's why you see, Civil War II, Ulysses. It was all about an Inhuman. This is all about an Inhuman. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, so we kind of transitioned from there to go back to the monsters. We see like some of them are like in space and they're traveling into this nest, and this voice is like talking to them, asking them, is my home ready? Like, did you destroy all the life on the planet? Did you raise the planet? You know what I mean? And then the monsters are telling the voice like, we've been trying, but there's been some trouble. There's been some resistance. You know what I mean? She's like, show me, so she can see like what through their eyes. You know what I mean? And she sees like the Avengers and all the heroes, fighting and shit. So she's like, alright, I'm coming then. Like, it's time for me to go since y'all can't handle it.
And who is that?
She's the Leviathan Mother. And she's the mother of all these crazy monsters. You know what I mean? Not these other certain monsters that we'll talk about in a sec, but there's all the monsters she's sending, all the comets, you know what I mean, that are landing on Earth, bringing those monsters. She's controlling them, basically wants them to like, take over this planet for her. This is going to be her new home. Your run-of-the-mill, scary type of shit. When we transition to the actual fight, and like I said, Cap's like still not knowing what he's going to do, that's when new monsters appear. Because he's drawing them. And those are like the actual monsters we know from Marvel. Like, if you know, like, Marvel horror. The only one I know personally is Fin Fang Foom. He's this giant dragon. And for all intents and purposes, he's leading them. All that side of the monsters, he's leading them. So he's, like, banging. They start banging between the monsters. The Avengers is just like, alright, bet. Like, let it go then. We're not even going to do nothing. We'll let them bang it out. But then the Leviathan Mother shows up, and she's like giant, bro. Like, you thought these monsters, she's like fucking big as fuck, like, and she just like lands on top of a building, And, you know, they're like, you know, shit, what are we gonna do? And she starts calling out the summoner. You know what I mean? She's like, that's the person who's supposed to beat her in the legend. Like Medusa says this old Inhuman legend about an old summoner of monsters who used to be able to draw with the stars and like summon monsters to be able to fight on her behalf. But the Leviathan Mother killed that person. You know what I mean? But she feels like maybe Ki is like the next birth of that, the next iteration. So, you know, they try to like coerce him into like drawing, you know what I mean? Like do your thing. On the side, there's this character called Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur. It's this little like 10-year-old girl. She's like a genius though. And she rides on the back of a big red T-Rex. Like she can talk to it telepathy. Like, you know what I mean? Like they're friends, you know what I mean?
That's some shit.
And she's been able to like use a translator to like translate what the monsters are saying, because they're just like roaring and shit. And yeah, she reads that they're saying like they want to come raise the planet and take it over for the mother. So when she goes and tells them that information, they're like in the bunker trying to coerce Ki into drawing some shit to help them. And Moon Girl's like, you know, what about all your old drawings that you haven't finished? You know what I mean? He's like, nah, I only know how to draw like stuff I already know. She's like, nah, like draw your own shit, try that. And he draws like all these monsters that he just created on his own. You know what I mean? Like it's just different type of monsters. Like they sort of look robotic. And they go and start banging and helping and shit. But the Leviathan Mother kills like the leader of that little team that he made. And Ki gets all sad. He's like, oh, like it's over. There's nothing I could do. And you know, Moon Girl just like, you know, gives him a little bit more push.
Draw it again.
Yeah, exactly. Draw again. Like try harder, nigga. Hope harder. And he does, and basically he combines them all into like a Zord. Like, you know, like how Power Rangers, all of them come together in one big robot. And then he's in it though. He's like controlling it and shit. So he's like banging on the mother and shit, just like kills her and shit, you know what I mean? And then, you know, Elsa Bloodstone's there, just like, you know, kind of cheering him on. Everybody's, you know, happy that he came into play. And then once the dust settles and everything clears, Cap goes and asks him, like, you know, what do you want to do now? Do you want to go train with the Inhumans? Do you want to train with the Avengers? You know what I mean? Do you want to go be part of the X-Men? Like, your destiny's in your hands now. What do you want to do? And Ki's like, I want to go home. Like, I just try to go to the crib. Like, this shit is crazy. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy when the characters he drew at first, when they're fighting, and like when one of them dies, like he's like bleeding and shit. Like he feels their pain. You know what I mean? So it's like a pretty cool like aspect to think of. Like that power is pretty complex.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, his story kind of ends there until Elsa Bloodstone like she governs for like this thing with S.H.I.E.L.D. where they're gonna send him to Monster Island. There's this little old section of the Marvel Universe. Warlock actually used to live there for a while, and Gamora as well. Back in the like 80s and 90s type shit. But and there's, you know, a bunch of monsters there. So he goes and lives there and like is like the controller of them, and they like protect him. You know what I mean? Like in the island and shit. They just like, if anybody was to come try to start trouble on that, they got his back. You know what I mean?
That's some shit. Imagine having your own island. That'd be some shit.
And Elsa's there too. Now she's like in the shadow. You see it like the frame like kind of zooming out. She's like in the shadows behind like trees and shit. And she's narrating. She's like, yeah, you know, the monsters are gonna protect him. He's like gonna be the next summoner. Who knows what his destiny is? But if anybody comes to this island, the monsters will be the least of their worries. Basically saying like she gonna bang on niggas. If anything, like she's an even worse problem. But yeah, essentially, that is really much how this ends. You know, it kind of ends off good. It does spin off. Now they do its own mini-series that continues about those monsters and about Ki and about their adventures on Monster Island. You know what I mean? So you can check that out if you're interested about that, you know what I mean, and want to hear more about his story. But other than that, when I was reading this was more just, like I said, the push of the Inhumans initiative. You know what I mean? They're trying to make them as prominent as possible. Because they've always been background, I mean, at best. You know what I mean? No, at most, Black Bolt. So, but all in all, like, I do, after reading it, I do give it like a 7 or 8. Like,
I say the same.
You know what I mean?
It's interesting.
Right. And it's done pretty well. You know what I mean? You see them all unite, and you see everybody fighting alongside. You see everybody, like, just literally seeing everybody. That's dope. And they're not fighting each other for once. You know what I mean? It's like a throwback. And it is, in hindsight, it is going to be looked at in the way it's marketed. Like, oh yeah, that was chips. That's a throwaway. You know what I mean? But yeah, like, if you read it and check it out, like, it's not bad. It's pretty solid. Like, we just want good stories. We've been talking about that recently. Stories that not only make sense, but drive more stories in an organic way. And I think this does that without overarching on anything. You know what I mean? It's written by Cullen Bunn. And he's like somebody who likes to write dark stories. Like, he's written Deadpool, Punisher. And the cool thing is, every issue is only 5. It's drawn by a different artist. I mean, you might not have been able to tell exactly, but like, different styles, it's a lot of splash pages. When you go through, like, it's all just like 1 pages of a big monster attack or something. But it's pretty good, and more things to come. Any last final thought?
No, yeah, it was good. I like the action with the monsters. I mean, it's something different, and how, like Nasty said, everybody just come together. One objective. So.
X-Men, one of their few appearances before they get dusted. Foreshadow.
That's crazy.
But yeah, that's pretty much Monsters Unleashed in a nutshell. It's a pretty good comic, pretty good art, solid writing.
Yeah.
Let us know what you think about it in the comments. Appreciate you guys watching this video as always. We're going to keep doing them. We got a lot of good ones coming up in the next few weeks, so stay tuned for more, right? Appreciate you guys as always. Peace out.